Alright guys, and especially gals, get ready for a roller coaster ride as we measure exactly how far we've come as a society since the 1970s. Acting as our proverbial yardstick will be the not-so-classic 1970s World's Finest comic. And no, that's not an endorsement. The name of the comic is World's Finest, and it's far from fine. We'll be looking at one issue in particular, but if you ever find some time, a lot of this series is pretty ridiculous. Like the one where Superman and Batman quit Earth. Yeah, that's a thing. I'm Jocelyn the intern. I do all the research nobody else wants to, straight from the desk of Death Battle. Now, let's get on topic, which is World's Finest issue 233 from 1975. In this oh-so-stupid comic, we follow none other than Superman and Batman's sons. Yeah, you heard that correctly. And no, we don't have time to explain where their assumably early 20s offsprings came from. Anyway, Clark and Bruce's crotch fruit are traveling through the deep south of America in their wannabe mystery machine, when an old ferry driver keys the kids in on a nearby ghost town. Naturally, they can't help but check it out. But the first building they run across, a blacksmith's workshop, is far from haunted. As our young heroes exclaim, they're surprised to find a woman, or as they describe her, a gorgeous girl, tending the smith rather than some sort of ghost. This compels the young super dude to offer his assistance to the smith, which she does not take too kindly. As our two young lads make their way into the city, they notice that it's populated entirely by women led by Sister Sybil. And apparently there's a bunch of strange street signs with eyeballs on them. Turns out the residents aren't too keen on the new male presence in their town, possibly because the two uncaped crusaders seem generally astonished by a female police officer, and they won't stop calling women things like doll and baby. You know, I've never understood that male mentality. What's that? You, a stranger, called me sweetheart? A name usually reserved as a term of endearment for 5-year-old girls? Aw man, I wasn't gonna go home with you, but now I totally am. Like, really? Eventually, the two heroes spot a damsel in distress as a woman shingling a nearby building loses her balance. However, they're quickly stopped from saving the woman by local law enforcement and told to leave it to the rescue crew. What could go wrong, right? Well, the damsel in question could die, and that's exactly what goes down. The mayor of the city dismisses the tragic event by saying the now dead shingler knew the risks of doing, and I quote, man's work. Yeah, now it's pretty clear to see that these ladies are off their rockers. But that doesn't keep young Wayne from threatening to, and once again I quote, slap some sense into your pretty faces. Yeah, so the ladies of the town throw our young protagonists in jail. Whilst locked up in the slammer, our young Kryptonian eavesdrops on a conversation and finds out the townfolk will be meeting with the mysterious Sister Sybil that night in order to bury the poor shingler. Obviously, the boys can't help but break out of jail, suit up in superhero costumes, and attend the funeral. Now, please just let me take one moment to point out this panel where Bruce and Clark Jr. demonstrate an interesting swimming technique. I guess Batman didn't want to get his poor widow feetsies wet. Wham. Anywho, it's not long until the juniors roll up on Sister Sybil's hangout, only to find out it's a giant speaking monolith of sorts, which Bruce quickly insults. This causes the women of Belton to hunt the men down with a pack of hunting dogs, which, guess what, aren't really a threat to Superman Jr. However, in a moment of what I can only assume is subconscious romance, the two burly bros decide to switch costumes to throw the dogs off their trail. And I shit you not, they change back like 3 pages later when Superman claims that a bat became sexually interested in him while he was flying around in the bat suit. Yeah, don't worry, this shit gets even dumber as our two heroes are interrupted by Sister Sybil, who is actually a giant green monster! Surprise! Sybil then explains how she's made all the ladies in town sick, and that's what's causing them to be so rude. So after dealing with Sybil, the boys head back to town where Bruce Jr. just starts kissing ladies left and right, claiming it's the only antidote to their sickness. And that, ladies and gentlemen, just goes to show you how far our society has come in 40 years.